Shalom, shalom, shalom. God is a good God. God is a faithful God. Greetings to you all, my family in Christ, my brothers and sisters, my mothers and my fathers, and all my friends. I love you, Lord. I love you so much with the love of the Lord, and God is amazing. Today, I have decided to share another wonderful message, which I have decided to name it, When God Say It, Do It. Don't question it. When God say it, do it, and don't question it. I've taken this heading, from the book of Genesis chapter 6, where we hear the story of Noah, how God told Noah to build an ark, and how God was instructing Noah on how to build an ark and how big it was. And also how God instructed Noah with the kind of materials he was supposed to use to make that ark built and to make that ark strong. It also had kind of wood which kind of a tree which Noah was supposed to go and take and make a wood that can make that an amazing ark. And the thing I've learned from this story, like I said, when God say it, do it. I believe that in that moment, when God told Noah, with all his faith, with all his belief, with all the things which he has seen God doing before, he had no doubt in his heart. He had no doubt in his mind. Because he knew that once God says a thing, he has a purpose. Once God says, give an instruction, he knows where he wants you to lead to. When God gives you instruction, he has a better way. He has a better way for you. I'm sure it wasn't easy for Noah to build an ark. I don't know how the weather was that at that moment. I'm sure it was very hot, or maybe it was very cold, or it was so windy. Him on the playground building an ark, because when you are building something, you don't build it under a house or under a roof. You have to go outside. I'm sure it was a very painful moment. And I think one of the moments he said that, now God, you want me to build this ark, but this is a very tough thing to do. Why? Because an ark wants a lot of materials to use. How am I going to take the material from the forest? How am I going to cut the tree from the forest? But with all that, you know that once God say, I can enjoy this pain of cutting down the trees, finding the materials, but just because God said it, I must not question it. Let me do it. And he did it. One, God instructed him what material to use. He instructed him how many people should be in the ark. It was only him and his family. And also God told that I'm going to make you be in the ark with the animals. And I know that a man cannot communicate with animals. It only happened in the time of Adam when he was giving animals names. But in the time of Noah, there was no one who was able to talk with an animal. Even up to now, cannot talk with an animal that you elephant. Can you please go back to where you are coming from? Only professionals can do it and they know how to do it. But we hear that God said, no, I'm going to I'm going to take animals to be in the ark. You know, he just said, yes, God. And he said, I'm sure he had faith that once God said he want to bring animals to the ark, there is a certain way, there is a certain level, there's a certain procedure which God is going to do, because God is a God of miracle things. He's a God of mighty ways. And he believed that once God says so, let me not question it. And he did not question it. What he always said, yes, God. And we hear that when the Noah was done built, when the ark was complete, God went to instruct the animals. He selected animals he wanted to be in the ark, and the animals were led to the ark. The most exciting thing I've seen from this story, like I said, when God say it, do it. There's a revelation which I learned to share with you, that these animals from the forest, they were pairs, right? They even knew that this one is my wife, this one is my husband. And two of them, they agreed that now God has spoken. It's an animal. Now God has spoken. Let us take this direction out of the forest and let us go straight to Noah's ark. At that moment, there was no GPS. At that moment, there was no social media. But the animals themselves, they just say that God has said a thing and let us go to that ark. This is how God will miracles. That's why I have said earlier that when God say it, do it. Do not question him. Because I'm sure if you don't want to question that, God, how do you want me to invite these animals to the ark? He was going to say, no, God, what you are telling me is very impossible. But you know that if God say it, let me not question it. He knows his way to do it. These animals were led to the ark, and the ark was closed. We hear that the rain fall for 40 days. Of course, and 40 nights. It was throughout. The thing I love about God, being with God, when, like I said, when God say it, do it. I'm sure before, when Noah was thinking in his physical flesh, he was saying, now, God, you want me to gather all the animals to be in the ark. But God, you know that a lion cannot survive an hour with a normal animal, because a lion survives on the meat. I'm sure he was also thinking that, God, do you know that I cannot allow a cow, to survive for 2 days without eating grass? How do you want this to happen? But I haven't heard such a question coming from Noah, because you know that I must not question God. God works in his miraculous way. God has got his own ways of working. The animals were kept in the ark for 40 days when the raining was happening outside. And there was oneness with these animals. A lion, we never heard a record that it attacked an impala or attacked any kind of an animal trying to fetch meat. Because you know, a lion survives on meat. In the God's presence, things can be not questioned. In the God's presence, you cannot question God. Why? Because once God say it, just do it. He has his way of making things come together. He's got his way of making things socialize together. He has his ways of making things be one as a family. Imagine an animal like a lion, the jungle, the king of the jungle. He survives on the other animals' meat. A cattle, a cow, it survived on the ground or with the grass. But in the ark, there was no grass. In the ark, there was no paddocks where the cow can do all kind of grazing, having the grass to eat to survive on. And also in the ark, I even hear that there was a water where animal like hippopotamus can survive on. But it all survived for 40 days without water. It survived for 40 days a lion without meat. It survived for 40 days a cow without grass. That's why I say, when God say it, do it. Do not question it. I'm trying to wonder, how did all this happen? Maybe I can ask a theologian. Maybe they can explain more to me, like, how did this happen? How did this happen? Things of the Lord, you cannot question it. You cannot understand it. You can try to understand with the way you are learned. You can try to understand with the way how much you know, but you can never get to the bottom of understanding it. Because if you want to find out, like, how did those animals survive, no one can tell. This was a miracle. A miracle. That is why I say, when God say a thing, do it. Do not question it. Do not question God why. And the thing I like, as we go deeper, as we go down reading these scriptures, we hear that it rained for 40 days. And after the ark landed, when the rain stopped, we hear that it also took some days for this water to sink down. Then the ark landed. This one we get it from the book of Genesis 6. Genesis chapter 8 now. I said 6. That was when the Noah found grace. Now going to 8 when the ark landed. So we see that after Noah taking an instruction from God, and after all the miracle, the amazing thing happened, that one, his family survived. All of them, they survived. None of them was missing. All the animals survived in oneness. All the animals survived as a one family. They all survived in peace. A lion survived without meat. A cattle survived without grass. An elephant survived without its fruits it always eat. All the animals, they survived without any of their favorite things they were eating in the ark. I'm sure Noah was so humbled and was so pleased. And guess what he did? The reason why I said, when God say it, do it. Because Noah did it, he did not ask God. He was so overwhelmed with how miraculous God has saved his family. How miraculous God has saved all these innocent animals which were in the ark. And what he did, he gave a thanks offering. You see that Noah made an altar. He took one of the best animals. He made a burning sacrifice. And because Noah had faith in God, because Noah knew that when God say it, I must do it. I must not question it. God was pleased with that faith. We hear that God was pleased with this sacrifice. The smell went up to heaven, and God was so pleased. God was so pleased with that. And what he did, he made a covenant with Noah, telling him that from today I will never ever destroy the world with rain again. Then he said in a form of rainbow. So now my story comes saying that whenever we are, whenever we do, whenever we hear from God, let us do it with all heart. Let us do it with all trust. Let us do it. Let us not question God, that God, you want me to move from one place to another. Why do you want me to do so? And how am I going to do so? How am I going to go over those borders? How am I going to meet that person you want me to go and approach? How am I going to pray for that person while I don't even talk to him? How am I going to deliver that person because he's not my friend or she's not my friend, I don't talk to him? Our paths are across like this. But whenever God say do it, do it. Because you don't know where your breakthrough is. You don't know where your breakthrough is coming from. You don't know where your miracle comes from. You don't know where your deliverance is coming from. Maybe God have put that deliverance in that person. But just because he's saying do it, don't question that. Do it in a polite way. Do it in a godly way. Do it with faith. And you see what God will do. You see how God will deliver you. You see how God will change your life. You see how God will bless you of all that. I've read it from the story of Noah, that Noah did not ask anything from God. He did not question God too much. He just did as God told him to do. And what God did at the end, he made a covenant with him. He also, I'm sure his friendship increased with God. His fellowship increased with God. His favor increased in God. Because what he did, he knew that anything God said, I must do it. And there's no room for question. Let me tell you one thing. Once you do not do what God says, ask the book of Jonah. Ask what happened to Jonah. God told Jonah to go to Nineveh. And he made his own mind want to go to Tarshish. And what happened? A wind came. And there was a consequence. He almost made innocent souls to lose their life. All because of disobedience. I'm sure on that moment you question that God God, want me to go to Nineveh. How am I going to go? What am I going to do there? For how long am I going to be there? But and because he questioned God that a lot, and he went to Nineveh in a hard way. You end up preaching the gospel, smelling fish. He was in a time of a war for 3 days. Afterwards, he was preaching the word of God, doing deliverance, smelling fish. Because he decided not to do it in a proper way. He decided to disobey God. He wanted to do his way. And God taught him a good lesson in a hard way. So that's why I'm always saying that when God say it, do it. Do not question God. Just do as it is. Just do as it is. No, questioning God does not make you go anyway. It gives you bad lucks. It gives you misfortunes. Because you're questioning God. Even the Bible said, do not lead in your own understanding, but everything trust in the Lord, for the God knows better than our minds. You only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brains to think on. But God is the one who created us and even know better than what we know ourselves. Even know better than how we know ourselves. Never ever ask God. Whatever he says, just do it. Whatever he says, just do it. And you see that your life will always be admirable. Life always be adorable. He might say that leave that place and go to another place. We can see it from the story of Abraham. Abraham was just told that leave this place and go to the far land I'm going to show you. And I'm sure Abraham did not ask that. So God want me to go to the far land when I don't know it. I don't even know anyone on that land. How do you want me to travel from that with all my luggage? But he just woke up, he just rose up. Because why? God said it. And he did it. He did not question it. And from then now we hear that he's the father of faith. He was blessed with a lot of sons and daughters. Yeah, also one of the sons of Abraham. Also one of the daughters of Abraham. Why? Because he listened to God. He just listened to God. He never questioned God. Just a simple instruction God gave to him. He listened to it and he never questioned it, and God blessed him multiple like that. So like I was saying, my colleagues, my family, whenever God said a thing, do it. Do not question it. Do it. It can be difficult. It can be impossible. But whatever God says, you know that it's a possible, because He paved a way. You make a way. He paved a way. You try to make everything good for the benefit of you. And whenever God said it, you know that ahead of you there's a covenant He's gonna make with you. Ahead of you there's a favor, there is a deliverance, there is a victory you're going to meet after you accomplish what God has instructed you to do. Just do it. God tells different people in different ways. It can be through the nature. It can be through the practical things we might be meeting in everyday's life. But once you realize that this is God said it, do it. Do not question it. Do it. And you see how your life will be. You see how blessed you'll be. You see how favor you got from the Lord. I do not have much to say, ladies and gentlemen, my family, but all I want to encourage you, whatever God say, do it. Do not question God, and you see your life will never remain the same. Your life will never be the same. You'll be uplifted and you'll be respected. God bless you. Shalom.